This is literally upside down.
Michael went and got it.
I don't know if it's on, but it's on the left, as you're coming from Edgeburg, and it's in that first little shopping center where the gas station, where there's a big Mexican restaurant in there.
Need a representative.
Isn't there a Mexican restaurant in there?
Oh my God. They're. They have, did you guys know that?
Jeff came in and get something.
John, do you want like that? It's your birthday. You eat all the red velvet one. Yeah. So I think we have everything done, all our housekeeping. So we still have some questions regarding how the compensation was done. And we're wondering, Trevor, our spreadsheet guru over here, he has to leave to go to England in less than an hour. So we were wondering if we could ask a few of those questions while we have him here.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll start off with that. So,
John, you had,
okay, so the first question, and I think one of the most pressing, is that our number after FES and charters is 2.378685. Your number is 2.167152.
Actually, Dawn, do you wanna,
I should not bring that with me, so
that
are you
was the,
taking out?
that was the,
That was the first question on the email that I sent.
no, it was
Okay,
the.
I think I know, because you said after charters
And
and,
FES.
Right.
Florida
Okay, but-
Empowerment.
okay, but there's also the FICA.
No, this is,
This is for
That's
that.
what brought it to 2.1. The,
no,
We thought that originally, and we thought that may be the case, but then when we looked a little bit closer, you took the benefits out of the 2.1, and that was 24% taken off the top, which
was
would
that,
have,
was that the vouchers? The.
vouchers are the FEA, that should all be included in charters and Florida Empowerment Scholarships.
That was,
okay, while she's looking up that.
Okay. So with that, even if we used your numbers with 24%, and we divided up the TSIA money equally, our number came out to 1,564, not 1,433. So I took that 2.1 that you gave me, that number that I don't necessarily agree with, because I think it's 2.3. But I took that 2.1, and I didn't do it, Trevor did it. We took that 2.1, we divided up, we took out the 24% in benefits, which we're
Okay.
gonna talk about in a minute too. But we divided it up evenly, and we got 1,564. That's the email that I got this morning.
and the email I sent you this morning talked about, we do the calendar correction to say if somebody's a 11-month or a 12-month
So-
person that falls in that bucket, then we take their salary, or we take the increase, divide it by 196, saying, like, pretend they're a 10-month teacher, and then multiply it by the number of days they work. So a 10-month teacher, you're gonna divide it by 196, you're gonna multiply it by 196, you get back to ground zero. A 11-month teacher, you divide it by 196, you multiply it by 216, that gets you to a higher rate.
Absolutely.
Now, when you asked about who's considered, why are there 11-month in-classroom teachers, there are 13 teachers across the district that are 11 or 12-month that fall in that bucket. And it's a substantial amount of money. It's a
Okay, so
couple
if we
$100
took that
per person.
additional $131 per person and multiplied it by the number of people and divided that equally among 13 people, you're telling me
No, I don't think that's correct. I don't know how you got there from there.
from
that point.
1564,
No, and the other thing is, how many people are you talking about in the TSIA money?
we had 1,226.
I've got 1,219.
That I had that number as well.
Well,
Okay.
we were using the second spreadsheet that you gave,
The second spreadsheet was
Was-
1,219.
so even less.
2,000. Okay, so even less people. So yes. And see, Vicki and I even talked about that because I had 1,219. And then she was like, well, the last spreadsheet said 1,226. I said, we'll just go with the larger number.
Okay,
So
that might have
we-
been the first one we did when we first passed it across.
Right.
The last one I
Then
sent
we
you
have lower ones.
was 630, which was after people. had left.
So, if we took this $2.1 million, 2.167152,
Right,
divided that equally among the 1,219, then took the differentiation for the 13 extra people. You're telling me that it's $164 difference for every employee for those 13 people.
I doubt it.
Me too.
That seems really high.
Me too.
So,
Which is why I have a question about it.
right. But I would have to see your spreadsheet to see how you're coming up with that.
Okay, all right. So we have a similar question about the 1,689,000 for the people below 10 and the people that the county is choosing not to keep even with everybody
It's
else.
not the county choosing not to keep even, that's the
Okay.
statute.
Okay, so the
It says,
people that are
it
being
specifically
excluded.
says Florida public school teachers
Heather, what's the
classroom
original amount here,
experience.
1,500, what did you come up with, 1,500 per, when you split it evenly? So-
When I split it evenly, it was 1,564. Is that correct, Trevor? What do you have?
But that was going on the 1226 people.
Okay.
If you use the 2.1, it's 1,400.
Okay.
Okay, so we're in the same ballpark when we talked to 2.1.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So, now I want to talk, so we still want to find out about this, the discrepancy between our number for the Florida Empowerment Scholarship and the charter schools and your number. So we have to find that out because
Okay.
that's a bit of money. And then, let's talk benefits. Okay.
well, let's
Oh,
go
go
back
ahead.
to if you wanna go back to the TSIA.
Yes,
Portion
please.
of it. Okay, so the total unweighted FTE is 41, total for the whole district is 41,081.70. So the charter schools are 2,360. The FES portion is 3,610, and then the school district is 35,109. So
That
that,
was the FES number that was looking about.
yeah, so what do you have for the FES number? Because we're taking scholarships out of there because they're part of the base funding. So that's 3,610.
$3,610?
FTE.
Okay, that's your, okay.
The amount associated with the FES
Is-
portion is 222,872.32.
And what are the other ones that you said you had?
The
That's
charter
Florida
portion is,
Charter.
2,360 FTE, 0.96, but, and then the amount associated with the charge is 145,729,
Okay.
and then the school district would be the remaining part, which is 35,109.99, with a total amount of 2,167,152. charter schools, I mean, because we don't have FTE for this year, it's based on what their actual FTE was, that's a cap or.
So that's the latest, based on the latest?
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean, that's the only way we don't have an option for them to do it.
okay, we need to look it up.
So,
And is that how the state does it as well? They base it on Fort Cal?
why,
That's,
the
okay.
state doesn't have a process for that,
Yeah.
but that's what other school districts do, because they go back to what the actual, FTE was off their last paycheck.
Trevor has the sheet.
And that's why we've always determined the target portion.
Okay. 2,393.
You actually don't know.
Yeah, this number's. So this is the Florida Empowerment.
Why is the Florida Empowerment and the charter costed out different for you guys, but not with the state? They're both charters. They're both vouchers, correct?
The charter schools are part of the school district, they get part of the FEMP calculation for which we pay them. So
Right.
they're part of the base, and so is the scholarship, they're part of the base too.
And this, well, I understand what you're saying, I guess what I'm asking is, if the statute says to split it with the charters,
They're getting it,
yeah,
that's just, we had to set the money aside so we could give it to them, but that's the money they're getting, and that's the money that the scholarships are getting.
What did
If
you
they're
say?
getting that money, we don't have that money to give to you, that's what they earned off of their students too. Just like the charter schools gotta do the same thing, they have to do the TSIA, they have to fill out the TSIA, what they're reporting back to the state, they gotta send it over
charter
to us.
schools do. We understand about the charter schools, I guess I'm confused about the scholarship part.
Okay.
Are you saying the scholarship people somehow get a portion of this?
They're included in our base.
But do they get a
We don't
portion?
get it. We don't ever get that amount of money, just like when you get your FEMP dollars, we get our FEMP dollars. They're giving us 33 million, and supposedly the state's gonna tell you that the state is funding Clay County School District an additional 33 million. We don't ever get that money.
So why
so
are we taking it?
Because we're not getting it. We
But-
can't give you something we don't get.
Enrollment wise, like, are your numbers different than what the state has
Oh, you
given
can find,
us?
if you go and wanna look at the FTE, that's in the, all these numbers that I'm talking about are in the
So the
conference
state,
report.
the
These
state,
numbers are in the conference report, they're FTEs.
the state is giving us $2,535,754. Then we gotta take out the charter school, and this has 2,393, 6.2%. That leaves us with 2,378,685. You're telling me we never get that money in the first place, so why are they gonna take it out of our TSIA allocation?
This TSIA is based on enrollment, correct?
The TSIA money overall is a part of the FAFE calculation. It is a part of the
Okay,
base.
so she's saying that's
We
the
are
base.
getting, it's part of the base. We are getting that to give to you. What we're not getting that's included in the base is scholarships. Just like we don't get the scholarships. They tell you, because we're up to 33 million here in Clay. Like we're at 30 million, we're up to 30. So they tell you in the whole calculation, oh, you're going to be, that money never comes to us. So we base our budget on the net state FEFT dollars, which says, takes all that out.
What did you say your student enrollment was?
Because this is based on student enrollment, and that's why.
It's based on FTE, which is in the conference report. That's different than, student enrollment. Sorry, my computer doesn't let me stay on, but 3 seconds.
No,
It's IT. So, okay, what was the question?
What do you have as Clay's actual number of student enrollment? You said 35.
The total enrollment is 41,081.70. And then Clay was 35,109.99. I mean, you can and then the FES, the scholarship was 3,610.75, and then the charter portion was 2,360.96.
Okay,
I'm sorry, can you say the charter again?
2,360.96.
okay. Do you have any other questions before we take this back and discuss this? Yeah, we'll have to
Clearly,
talk
our
about
numbers
it.
are different.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. Okay, so that answers some of those questions, thank you. And I'm sorry we had to do this here.
It's fine.
Okay.
I just didn't have it pulled up.
Okay.
Wasn't thinking.
Yeah, we had asked right after last time, never, so. All right, so then the last thing on my list are benefits, right? And I know John said that Clay County is using 24% to take off the top for benefits, right? Okay, all right, so what you sent me, John, was 6.2 for FICA,
Yep.
1.45 for Medicare,
Yep.
1.46 for workers' comp, and 14.25 for FRS.
That's what we want, when we actually went back for FRS, I had to rerun last year's numbers to get that 1.4.
1.25, 14.25,
14.25.
okay. That
We were
is,
estimating 24 just to make sure we had enough when
Okay.
we did our model.
okay, so you were estimating 24 just to make sure you had enough when you did your model. Okay, last year that added up to 23.36.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, I wonder, and I know that that varies from county to county based on who's in retirement, who's in
Who's in
drop.
drop,
I
all
completely
that.
understand all that. Real quick though, St. John's, 21.24%, Putnam, 21.68, Union, 22, and those are just three of the ones surrounding us, and
Are
I
they
have
not
not,
including workers, are they not including workers' comp?
you know what, so,
Because, I mean, your FRS is 14% pretty much guaranteed
absolutely.
as a minimum.
So, if that is the case and they are not including workers' comp, which I don't think Putnam is, because when they sent me those numbers, they did not have workers' comp in there, so you don't have to, right? Because you don't have to, but they did not include that in what they take off the top, okay? Regardless, counties surrounding us are not doing nearly that amount for benefits. Even if you're worried that you're gonna go over in benefits and you 23.36, what we did last year, okay? Looking at that, that is, and we're gonna base it on your TSIA number. 36% of your TSIA number is $506,204, all right? If we do it at 24%, it's $520,116, which is a difference of $13,911.
Okay,
Okay, that's a lot of money. That would have paid for those 13 people, I guarantee it.
okay.
Okay, so my problem is with this, and I want to make this very clear because we see it in the insurance, right? On your insurance proposal, you said if there is any reduction in pricing, that the county will get to keep it and that our employees will not be reimbursed it. There was a
The wording was there
disclaimer.
will not be a refund.
There will not be a refund. There was a disclaimer on that. I want to know what the refund for the 24% is going to be.
Okay, so on the 24, let me just go back and comparing to.
The 24% was only used in the model for this year, number one.
Okay,
So,
Well, number two, on top of that, you're comparing us with other counties. So if you're gonna compare us with other counties, then number one, the workers' comp is an employer-related benefit. So we do pay that. I will tell you right now, when I came here, the amount of workers' comp claims here, everybody's different. Everybody has a different experience ratio. So we have an internal service fund here for workers' comp. It is also struggling.
okay.
So, yeah, so we're probably, and I don't know, I would have to inquire, someone would have to inquire with St. John's, but our workers' comp rates here are probably higher.
You could be absolutely correct.
I think I am.
And you could be absolutely correct.
Because we're sitting on like a $1 million fund balance in workers' comp, and you don't even wanna know the claims that are coming up to be paid out. They're at St. John's probably at a $6-7 million. So there is the same correlation between the health that we're talking about and why St. John's might not have to have a higher increase or whatever, because they're sitting on 40 million we don't have any.
So that's why you're including the workers' comp.
It's always been included in the past,
Okay,
correct me
okay.
if I'm wrong, but what I'm saying, it's probably higher here for us because of our situation with the workers' comp here. The claims here, I will tell you, are quite shocking to me when I got, and that's the only way that I know that it is quite shocking, the claims.
Okay. But we're rounding up from 23.36 to 24, which basic math, we would round down to 23 because it's not 24.5, or 23.5 to go up to 24. But anyway, even with that workers' comp, and I have it in here, 1.46% of workers' comp, I have it in here. Even with that, it's still 23.36.
Right,
And we rounded up to 24.
right.
So if things go the same they did the same way that they did last year, the county is gonna keep that $13,000. Is that what you're telling me? And you do know that if we don't spend TSIA money, it goes back to the state. So is the state gonna get that $13,000? I mean, make it make sense for me. I'm asking because I don't know.
Right.
Okay, no one's returning money back to the state,
Okay.
first of all. And second of all, based on the actuals, it was 24 point, what is the actual, based on
The
what the
actual-
actual was, 24 point,
What are,
No, it's 23.36 based
Yes.
on
on actual?
yes.
I would have to go back and say, we don't know how it's gonna, I like to get back to your statement, the amount of people that go in who are in drop and leave, what we could pay out in June could be over $500,000.
I know.
And the
My,
hour,
my problem is this. If you have an additional cost, your employees have to absorb it. If you don't have that additional cost, you as the county gets to keep it. So those are my questions, and that's, there's no other way to look at that. There's no other way to look at that. You're rounding up from a number that, in all mathematical senses, we don't round up, right? 23.3 is not going to round, we'll even go to 23.4 because it's 36, is not gonna round to 24%. So that's my comment for the benefits. And looking around at all of the other counties, and I understand we might have higher workers' comps, I get it. But looking around at the other counties, it does not. It just, I ask and I'm
The difference
floored.
between the
I understand.
overall rate, that's all I'm saying. I would probably tell you that they either didn't include the workers' comp, like
Right.
you said.
And I think that's what happened.
One of them maybe, and then the other one is probably, it's lower. So, all that gets back to,
Oh, I know it fluctuates.
So, okay.
I absolutely, I get it, I
they
totally get
probably
it.
have in their system a different percentage in that.
Right. And so just,
and when we're sitting here bargaining, I'm looking at bodies and chairs as of 6:30. So when school starts and we start bringing in more people and things like that, our retirement rates, they do go up. Our expenses for salaries all go up. I mean, that stuff does change.
But don't you budget for that?
Yes, but a budget is not, and for salaries, I sent you in the email I sent back, we were over budget on salaries by $3.5 million last year. We were over budget on retirement by $1 million. So, we're exceeding what was budgeted by that point.
But we don't have a problem rerunning with because I was out last week, and so I looked over the emails this weekend, and when he ran the actuaries, we don't have a problem running the program again with the actual cost. And, cause $5 is $5, if it's $5 a person, it's $5 a person.
well, and that amount could absolutely take care of those
And
13
so-
people.
Right,
That's, so that, I had a question on that, and the surrounding counties, I just wanted to
yeah.
get some answers on
So
that.
we're totally fine with, when he got the actuarials over the projected, to rerun the program.
Yeah, I know, I heard 24 and I almost fell out of my chair, because I have not heard that high of a benefits anywhere.
And two, and I appreciate that we put you on the spot here with the numbers for but we did ask those questions in an email. I don't know that we included Ms. Posey.
I did, I
But
included her.
we
one
asked
time.
that the day after bargaining, we don't understand how you have 2.1 million, we have 2.3. We need to understand how your numbers are different,
Well, that's
for the
fine.
charter. Yeah, but so we would appreciate that information so that we can better make a decision about compensation moving forward, because, I know you kind of spouted some numbers off to us, but we need to see those numbers so that we can check them. So we would appreciate maybe an email with those numbers in it about how you came up with how many are charter, what extra voucher things you're talking about, that apply to the TSIA specifically.
Well, you have those numbers now though, right? So,
Well,
I wrote them down.
Well,
Oh,
no,
okay.
we want them, we would like you to send them, please, because I was trying to scribble and, no, there's too many acronyms. So, yes, I would appreciate if you would put that in writing for us, because we have what we consider to be an accurate breakdown of how many, what FTFE goes to charter, what FTFE comes to Clay, what percentage and all of that, and it doesn't work out the same, so we would like to see that, if you could break that down for us and put it in writing.
Just so we can look at it and
Is
compare
that
it.
all right?
certainly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So that is, do we want to caucus for a moment?
No, I think we just
Talk forward? Okay. So that is, we do not have a compensation proposal to bring back to you because we needed that kind of information, especially with the benefits and everything. And go back through the actuals and let me know what I can do as far as benefits and how I can multiply them out and try to figure that out too. Okay,
You got the numbers, that's the numbers we're
okay.
gonna use.
23 point, okay.
It's
So
23.36.
36.
Yeah.
23, so we are gonna do 23.36 for our benefits from here on out.
to make sure that's all.
But you have that in writing, I sent that to you
Yeah.
in an email.
Yeah, you did, that's why I got that yesterday, so that's perfect. All right, and then, do you have language you want to do?
We do,
Okay,
we do. We have, we'll come back with the language from that was passed, and then we have, we only have one article that we are bringing on our own, okay? So the first is the insurance,
Are you
or
gonna
if you have the other first,
No,
then yeah,
whatever you
no,
want.
it doesn't matter. You have that out, we'll do the in-service. We can bring our own language first.
you want all three passes?
Yeah, yeah, we can do that first.
Michael, you take one for the back table.
Okay. I'll wait till they all get past it. That's it.
You did. If you need, you can take it.
Okay. Part of this language is what we brought last year, okay, but due to the impasse, and y'all only wanted to bring the compensation to impasse, it all went back to original language. So part of it was kept the same, but we did add another line to it. And on part of what Ms. Kidwell was talking about last week, the district, when we were talking about in-service last year, we started meeting, I met with, it was Dr. Shepherd and Ms. Collins, starting in the fall, on what could we do to reduce some of those trainings, all those mandated trainings and that were required, you know, statutorily and otherwise. So they've actually, we have looked at that. They have already for this year, you'll be happy to know all the teachers and support employees that it's, last year was 207 minutes that you spent watching videos. This year it's 126. So almost half, okay? Some of them are actually mandated. We are actually still even working to check to see, just like, I think it was, John mentioned that IT is working to see legally if like the bloodborne pathogen that all of us have watched, you know, if you've been in the district over and over and over. So we're checking to see legally if you can pass the test. can it surpass? Okay, so we're working to even bring that down lower, so this has been in the progress since, the fall, reducing that, but that is what it's been reduced to already this year is the 126. So that's 2 hours, okay, so that's a big help as far as time out of your day. The other thing that we worked on, part of it was a problem with last year allowing the PLC time in August was because of our state approved program. It states in there, did they get a copy of that?
I passed off 3 pages.
Was this the one?
This one has.
No, yes, that, okay. The state approved program states that there'll be 1 hour each week of PLCs, okay? So our hands are kind of, so we thought, okay, how can we swing this? How can we work with this? And, so Ms. Collins and them have worked on just new language, and you'll notice this is the actual schedule that has been, this is just the first page of it, for your PLC meetings, that the month of August is called School Launch PLC, okay? And Mr. Roski has also sent out an email to all administrators, and we will discuss this with them at the Welcome Back Luncheon, that time is to be utilized for trainings, okay? So you're not gonna have to do your PE PLC or your English PLC or those things during that month of August, okay? So that's 4 hours during the week that you'll have to use to take care of these trainings or whatever else you need to do.
During that month of August, 4 hours.
During the month of August. A leader might say, because I know there's some things, most of them probably already have their calendars kind of done, and they are required to turn their calendars into the superintendent, because he wants to see that they are prioritizing the teacher time. So some of them might say, well, one of the PLCs, and this is just an example, I don't know if they'll do this, but I know that there's a safety video and a CAS training, and instead of doing those during a faculty meeting, that could be the PLC, so that you don't have to do that during, and that would free up the other time. So, yes, please. So,
Sorry about that.
that's okay. So the language on C is just cleaning up the language that we spoke about last year. The part of D is cleaning it up. The part that's added, so I'm not going to go through all of that. The part that's added is that school leaders will prioritize PLC dates during August to allow this time to be used for mandated training. So we added in the school launch so that that's there in writing for that. Any questions on that? Okay. So if they can get the numbers down a little more, then they'll be happy to do that. It'll benefit us all, because we have to do it too. All right, we'll do the insurance. Okay, the insurance article, we are coming back with original language, okay? And the reason for that is this is put in there years and years ago. I mean, it's been in there longer since I've been in HR. The purpose of that is really in the long run to help protect the employees, as far as the fact that if there's not a settlement when there are increases. Now, us at this table have been fortunate in the past 8 years, we have never had to bargain insurance premium increases because the district has taken that on themselves, which is, again, totally unheard of. If you talk to anyone out in any other business or any other world, even like I told you the last week, my husband's in Medicare, his insurance goes up every year. But the board had elected to absorb that, partially because at a time, there was extra funds that they could do that, and so it was a benefit they were able to do for their employees. So, you know, there comes a point where with the financial strain, we just can't do it anymore. But what would happen here if the premiums, when, like this year, we're having to bargain premiums, if it's not settled by the 15th of September, which is when our insurance premium starts coming out of our paycheck, then if the board took on that responsibility until, let's say, November, December, then the board would have to come back and have to get all that money back from the employees. So let's just say that the premiums were $50 difference each month, okay? And then all of a sudden, come December, the board's gonna have to come back and say, well, we settled, here's the premium, now you owe us, you know, $250. Whereas the way the language was originally written is that if there's not a settlement, okay, and the premiums change, and the employee has been paying that extra money, the board will owe them that money back. So, which the board would be more easy to pay that money back because they've collected it and is just able to refund the money. Whereas asking the employees to come up with that money, you know, or either lose their insurance. So that's the rationale for not being able to change that language. I will say that I do have executive, I have requested an executive session. We have the special board meeting next Thursday evening, okay? And, the insurance department and Ms. Posey and them are reaching back out to the actuarial, who is the one who recommended the 22% increase. And we're asking them to look over the numbers again to see if there's anything better that we can do, okay? And so we should have that, and I'll present it to the board next Thursday. So then, I'm hopeful, okay? I cannot guarantee, but I'm hopeful that we will be able to do something better for all of us at that Monday, the 27th, at bargaining on insurance. So any questions on that?
So we tried to crunch the numbers, which Chris was able to give us a little bit of information about the insurance increase. And unfortunately, with the numbers that you have proposed, going with your proposals, anybody, yeah, yeah.
Do you wanna go ahead, we have an insurance proposal.
And the reason why we have an insurance proposal is because Trevor was able to crunch the numbers for us, just based on the information that we had. The majority of your employees that take insurance are going to see a pay cut this year. A pay cut, not a zero, a pay cut. And so our question to you is, how would that, I just don't even see how we could get that ratified. I mean, we're not even talking zero.
Where are
like-
you getting the numbers that the majority, or is that the
I'm gonna
majority?
show it to you.
She's gonna share with you.
You know, and it might be that some people, just like myself, who's in the HMO, you know, paying the $81 a month, I might need to go to the health savings plan.
Well, even the health
And
saving plan
It's not gonna be a pay cut.
is, yeah, employee and kids, it's a pay cut.
Well,
If you're at the 610,
okay,
601 or whatever.
possibly people with employee and children, but not employees.
The employee and the HMO is a $539 pay cut per year. Employee only on the choice PPO is a $1,374 pay cut per year. That's on the if you're in the 601 excluded from TSIA. So, anyway,
So I did a little bit of numbers. What we're proposing is that the county absorb the 100% premium increase for the employees for the cheapest one, which is the healthcare saving plan. Because I don't know, I was on that for a while. I know several of my coworkers were on that. You are still out of pocket a lot of money with that plan. You have to meet a deductible that is astronomically high. So, looking at that, the 601, employee only. So anybody under 10 years, with your proposal, anybody under 10 years is going to make $131.40 a year, which is $6.51 a paycheck, okay?
After they pay insurance.
So then looking down at employee and spouse, they're gonna make $872, and then your dual employee plus family is going to make an additional $209 a person. Everybody else, under 10 years, or that is excluded from TSIA money because the county does not want to match that money out of general funds, everybody else is going to take a pay cut. Then if we go down to the people that are receiving the TSIA money, the first, you'll get a pay raise for the HCA, the Health Care Savings Plan, the HCS. You'll get a increase for that. Nothing of that increase is over $1,000. Well, it's $1,000. It's $1,006. So you will get a $1,006 raise. That's the highest amount that anybody in this county is going to get with your proposal. Is $1,006.
If both employees work
Right.
and they take that particular cheap insurance.
Yes. So you can see, those are the pay increases. Nobody's gonna go over 1,000 except for the employee and spouse. And you know, it's so disconcerting that our teachers heard, well, if you max out at 3,000, you can put it somewhere else. And only this first group taking the cheapest insurance is gonna get close to 1,000. It's gonna get, some of them not even close, but 3 of these groups will get semi-close to $1,000. Then you go down to the Choice HMO plan, which is the only one that's gonna offer anybody who has any kind of pre-existing conditions, any kind of health care, is a $293 pay increase for just the employee. So what worries me here is you have an employee who is under 10 years, who has children on the plan, they're going to take a pay cut. So my question to you is, can your employee, your single mother, single father, who is less than 10 years, are they gonna qualify for Medicaid?
Even if they're over 10 years, as you can see on the table, even if they're over 10 years and they qualify for the TSA because they happen to be a classroom teacher and it's Florida experience, which, let's face it, that's a narrow funnel to get through. It's a filter that's cutting out a lot of people. An employee with kids, you're
Which is
talking.
mandated by the state.
I
That's
understand
not
the
us.
TSIA,
It is
but
awful.
many districts are choosing to match.
Not many,
in
because
fairness.
I did a survey to all districts, and not many. Some districts might be choosing to match, and those are districts who have very large fund balances. But most districts, they don't have enough funds, and all of them are doing, well, I can't say all, because there are a few who are rogue, but the majority of the districts are following the TSIA as written by the statute.
So I'm gonna,
Which is what our superintendent, as board said we must do, we will.
We're not saying that
I'm
on
not-
the statute.
I'm
We're
not
saying
saying that.
we're talking
Which
about.
is an unfair statute.
We
all
agree.
agree.
We all are on the same page that how
Yeah.
unfair it is. The reality is, though, it picked winners and losers.
Yes, it did.
And many districts are saying we're not playing the winner-loser game.
So-
Everybody's a winner in this district.
out of general fund, I have Putnam, Liberty, Nassau, and Okaloosa that have TA'd or given verbal agreement to pay a matching amount to over 10 years out of general fund. So they have TA'd it or they verbally agreed to it. And I'm gonna give a shout out to Putnam because I got on a call with them on TSIA and the first thing they said is we cannot do that to our people. We cannot sow that kind of discontent within our people. So that's all I'm gonna say about that, but so it is a choice, but we'll move on from that.
And
Back
just
to insurance.
Looking at your highlighted, I just want to draw your attention to the employee and kids. Every category that is employee and kids, except for the TSIA person who is in the cheapest HSA. Every other employee with kids is taking a hit to their pay with the choice HMO, even if they're TSA, $669 pay cut per year. With the PPO plan, $2,207 pay cut per year. And if they're not TSIA, every one of them, every employee with kids is taking a pay cut from $213 annually to $3,039 annually. How are employees that are single parents going to be able to stay in Clay when they've already been telling us how awful the insurance is, how much it costs them out of their measly paychecks? 45% of them did not get a raise last year. How are they? We want Clay to be strong, and I know you do too. And so that's what I hope we can agree on here, is that we have to make it affordable for our veteran teachers to stay in Clay. We have too many people emailing us and saying, I want to stay, but I can't afford to stay. That is not good for our students. We have parents that are reaching out and saying, my kid had subs, and this sub didn't know what to do, and this sub, blah, blah, blah. Why are there so many long-term subs? Because we can't keep teachers, and this is why we can't keep teachers. The reality is they're going to take a pay cut.
This isn't why we can't keep teachers, because for the last 8 years, we've covered it. So for this year, it is going to be a problem, and everyone in the district acknowledges that it's a problem, but it's not the reason in the past. And
Pay is the reason.
And so we've gone over and we've given, other than last year, prior to last year, where it was TSIA only, and that was a very difficult year. And it was the hardest year for me at this table to not come with extra money. But prior to that, we have compensated our employees
I'm not
higher
saying-
than ever before.
Brenda, no one is disputing that.
Well,
We're just
you are
saying we
saying
need to
that's the
keep
reason
up
they're not
with.
staying.
I'm just saying, I'm telling you what the
It's not
teachers are
enough.
telling us. It's not enough, I'm not keeping up, I can go across the bridge, I can make this much money, their health insurance is covered up to X amount, mine is costing me, we are the mouthpiece
Right.
of the educators.
This isn't
And
what
we are
Vicki and
sharing with
Heather
you the realities. And I know they're uncomfortable, these are uncomfortable conversations, but we have to have them for the strength of Clay. Clay has to look to the future, and we're asking you to look at these hard
Have a
numbers.
safe trip.
Thank you, sorry.
Safe travels,
Sorry.
so that we can move forward.
And we're not afraid of the hard conversations, and it's been very hard conversations. And this has been, I think you know our superintendent well enough, this is caused sleepless nights for him, because his employees are the most important. And he's worked very hard to stand for employees. And like I said, we have, and he's the one that, when I met with, said, yes, we're gonna have an executive session again next Thursday night after the board meeting to see, is there anything else we can do with this insurance? You know, I'll meet with him prior to that in the insurance department and go over y'all's proposal to see, hey, we're on the compromise, what can we do? None of us wanna see our employees take a pay cut, you know, and I remember when my kids were on it and when my kids all left, I felt like I got a big raise, cause I no longer had to cover them on insurance. And you know, that's a sad way to get a raise, but I was excited for it. And when I went to Publix every week, I felt like I got a raise. So it is troubling, and we do understand. And we also are bound, just like in your home, when you've only got X amount of dollars and you have to make difficult decisions as to where you can budget and where you can't. And, you know, I think that the district trying to be very benevolent for 8 years has caused part of the problem, whereas a small increase over years probably would have helped.
So you can
And,
say that,
you
but
know-
then our people see money that's being spent out of general fund in ways, and maybe it's not general fund, maybe it's, money that's earmarked for certain things that we could maybe use general fund for other things that we're using for those things. They see money being spent and they get frustrated. They see money being spent on things that they know
Are not essential.
are not essential.
And
And
they
that's,
feel like they are essential.
Right.
And they want to be.
They are essential.
They want to be prioritized as essential and at the very least be budgeted at a cost of living. I mean, when we talk about percentage of cost of living and increases, I know the district is facing that.
State from the cost of living.
I understand that.
But what I'm saying, if we can't be budgeted from the state at the cost of living, then we can't pass that on.
But But
There's no
other,
money tree.
other districts are able to increase salary.
They have a fund balance.
Then I don't know what to tell you about the budget. It's a frustration for us. Again, when we went to impasse, we said, please budget for the employees. Please budget so that you know that they're going to have, at the very minimum, a cost of living. They're going to get an increase each year, because that's how we build the strength of Clay County. And so, again, that is our plea to you.
We're not getting those monies from the state.
Neither is anyone else.
But I'm getting back to the point that they have a fund balance. Every school district is operating in a different situation. They have, they have one mill, Duval, everyone surrounding us is operating in a different financial situation.
So I am also bargaining in a county that we know a lot about right now, that does not have a fund balance. And we are asking that they match the over 10 years. We are asking, we're not asking for anything else, but that they match the over 10 years.
Because it's fair.
And it's fair.
You know it's not
And
fair,
they don't have an
what you're
insurance
thinking.
increase. Granted, they're not going through that right now, so they're not having to deal with that. But we are asking that they do that. So, and I hate to beat a dead dog, but
I'm glad you didn't say horse.
the signs, the materials and supplies. We know that there is money, and I know you said
Materials
that the
and
materials.
supplies are restricted, they're money that
Why
was
is it
specifically
so
spent.
much more this year than it was last year?
Some
I
materials.
don't even have that in this year's out.
I wish,
out.
and I would love to see that, because last year it grew by how much?
A lot of people put, a lot of times with budgeting, your money just goes in the 510 and the schools and all them can move money out. Or sometimes it's budgeted and we specifically put it in all the object codes. But I'm telling you that that money was for specific purposes related to workforce, whatever it was. So it was in the 510 line. It has nothing to do with, we had money and we did not provide that to you. It has nothing to do with that at all.
So-
I've been here 16 months and it has nothing to do with that. If there was money in the budget and we had more money to give you, then that's exactly what would happen. But we're strapped right now, and that's all I can say.
Our people are a priority.
Our
We
people
go to
are
the
strapped.
we go to the grocery store and we have to pick out what we buy. That's what we're asking.
Nobody shops at Publix anymore, it's Aldi's.
Only Dixie. I go to
Well, there's no
Winn-Dixie weekend.
Yeah, Winn-Dixie is now Aldi's.
The Winn-Dixie weekend sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not there's no Winn-Dixie anymore.
So,
Yeah, there is on the corner of Kingsley and 17th.
Oh, okay.
That's
Well, that
out
one will
there,
probably
Gabe.
be in Aldi's soon. They're on.
you talked about the other district matching what the state was doing. So they're only compensating employees over 10 years?
Only, no, absolutely not.
Because that's what,
No,
I just wanted
no.
to clarify that
No,
that's
no,
not
no,
what
no,
we're
no,
talking about.
nope, not at all.
They're doing that
So,
in addition to.
yes, they're doing that in addition to, and Putnam's still getting a step.
For their grandfather people.
We have not bargained, I say we have not bargained that yet, but that's normally how, we are still gonna ask, let me put it
We
this
don't
way.
have grandfather
We do not,
people, so
we
we
do
can't-
not know how it's gonna work out, but historically, they have never left anybody out, and they have always done stuff, so we will see how that goes. I can't say that that's gonna happen, but, because we haven't done anything, but I will tell you, the first thing that they said is, we will not leave out our people that are excluded in TSIA. First thing they said, and I was so proud of
I
them.
think our model was more along the lines of, we want to make sure everybody gets something. Everybody gets, if we start saying, okay, people over 10 years get a big lump,
A whole bunch of
we
people are
start
gonna
cutting,
get a
we
whole
start
lot of
cutting
nothing.
the other side of it. Your people at the bottom end who are less than 10 years are gonna see less money when you're dealing with a finite amount of cash. And we don't want that.
But they already are. I mean, if you're talking about your proposal at $601 and this increase in insurance at the amount proposed, they are not getting an increase, they are getting a pay cut.
Some of them are, you're correct.
Most of them are. 'Cause
And
I
not
think-
everybody takes the insurance here though, too.
I
So
think,
let's remember that.
and Ms.
Some
Isaiah
don't
sent us
take the
those
insurance.
figures, 2/3 of them take the insurance, more than 2/3 take the insurance.
So, I mean, this is not every single, not everybody takes the insurance, that's all. So, some people.
Do you have, I will take your proposal.
So it's 100% for the, lowest price, and then 25% or 75% for the 2 large rooms.
All right,
Anything else?
yes, we bring it back evaluation.
Okay.
And then that's all we have. Okay, on the evaluation, I spoke with Mr. Shriver and, Ms. Collins, who kind of oversees training and working on the evaluation. I totally understand where you're coming from with the number of people in our district who end up with a highly effective or effective evaluation. Reappointments are not based solely on evaluation, okay? There's a lot of other factors that go into, that's one component, and it's a large component, okay? There's not a way to determine a true highly effective or effective evaluation prior to pre-appointments, number one, okay? Because highly effective and effective were set up by the state, as we all know, for performance pay, which we used to be able to give, but state doesn't fund that. But that's done across a third of your evaluation is based on your student scores, okay? And that's what determines your highly effective or effective. So, and our non-reappoints this year were 1.02%. We normally run, last year it was 1.4. So most of our teachers are reappointed, all right? A 1.02% is less than, this national average for teachers being reappointed is 5 to 8, depending on where you are, okay? So they are, most of our teachers are reappointed. I think we did a lot of that. What has helped is that we've been training our admin more on, and like I told them, you know, we used to be able to hire rock stars out the get-go, but now that, you know, 60 to 75% of our hires are career changers. They're not trained out of the College of Ed. They don't have the classroom management and all that. So what we emphasize is you've got to create your rock stars. And when we added in the language, I think it was, 2 years ago, whenever we added that they had to have the minimum of 2 deficiency conferences, because we all agreed that no one should be told in February that, you know, I'm not happy, you haven't met my expectations, but yet they haven't been told all year as to, well, how am I just now all of a sudden not meeting your expectations? So that's where we stated that they need to, because that's only fair, is to be told if you're not meeting expectations and then given help to grow, you know, whether it's classroom management or whatever. But also with the fact that annual contracts statutorily can be non-reappointed. The other factor is that an effective evaluation goes all the way down to a 60 once it's completed. I don't think anybody here would accept a 60 from their child as far as a grade. So to say that an effective evaluation should automatically be reappointed is a little high, okay, because it can go all the way down to a 60. And still, even with that, we don't have that information until the fall, once all the scores and like evaluations aren't final yet. We don't have final evaluations. So there were several components in that. I'm totally open to have more conversations on what can we do to help support those teachers more that need growth opportunities or feel like they're being non-reappointed unfairly. You know, what can we do with the help of that? But I think our numbers speak volumes, that barely over 1%, 29 teachers out of almost 2,900 were non-reappointed. That's pretty good. You know, other national businesses, because we pulled some things, a national corporate average, 6 to 13% are non-reappointed every year.
So you're saying only 29 teachers were non-reappointed last year?
Yes.
What about annual contract?
That was total, non-reappointed.
Conclude employments.
Include employments?
During the year, there were some PACs during the year that were concluded, but that's not being non-reappointed. They were concluded during the year. A probationary annual contract, like, let's just say come December, if they've been met with and they're not meeting expectations, or, you know, a lot of the brand new people have high attendance problems, or, you know, other factors, can't control their classroom. Some of them are let go during the year, but non-reappoints over 29. And some of those non-reappoints the majority of those actually end up getting picked back up, because like I said, an evaluation is only one component. Mr. Martin even talked about, he hires non-reappoints, and sometimes it's just other factors. Maybe it's a conflict with the admin, maybe it's they just don't jive with their team at that school.
That's what I was
And they
gonna
go
say.
to another school, and they, you know, you have to tell them they're doing a great job.
The problem is when they are non-reappoint, it's a big blacklist for them, and it is really difficult. Some of them are hanging out till July, till the last minute before hiring. When did you hire your non-reappoint?
This is the previous year, I don't know the
I'm
date.
gonna guess very close to when school started, and they don't wait.
The majority
They
of our
leave.
non-reappoints they do get picked back up.
If they wait around until
No,
school
they get
starts.
picked up in the early part of the year. And, you know, the bottom
You mean
line
early
is,
part of
when
when
you're
school
talking about
starts?
1%, and I think everyone in this room would agree, not everyone is meant to be a teacher.
We're not saying that they are.
But 1% of all of our teachers were non-reappointed. Not everyone is, you're never gonna have 0 non-reappoints.
We're
Never.
not asking for zero.
Well, how much less than 1% can we get?
I think one person too many that is an effective teacher or highly effective teacher their first, second, third year that gets non-reappointed is too many, right? So
I agree, there
Because
might be
your-
some discrepancies with
your
the
your
evaluation
principal doesn't
process.
like you, you can be
Or you
non-reappointed.
stood up to your
Or you
principal,
stood
you
up to your
advocated for a
principal.
student, we've gotten that one too.
I think it's one too
And
many.
your principal doesn't like it,
They would
push
have to
back.
have had several deficiency conferences, and those deficiency conferences would have to been documented.
All they have to do, deficiency conferences is the lowest bar ever, and we've seen
And
it.
So
It's, I met with you in the hallway, blah, blah, blah.
no, that's not a deficiency conference. And Vicki, you know good and well, if you brought something like that to me, I'd have that conversation with the principal. That is not a deficiency conference.
We have principals that non-reappoint when they have a teacher that stands up for students and says, this needs to, or this ESE student needs this, or this, you're pushing back on me. They don't like, they consider it insubordination or whatever.
And like I said, if you gave me someone, and you can make the face if you want, but you know it's true, because I fight for those teachers. And I've had the conference with those teachers, and we call those principals and we say, we've had some of them when they haven't been able to document and show that they had 2 deficiency conferences. In fact, the non-reappointments, Jeff checks every one of them to see if they've had deficiency conferences. So we verify that. And if there's not deficiency conference, we tell them, we're sorry, but you're keeping them. Work with them. So it's, not everyone is made to be a teacher, and I think a 1% non-reappointment rate is pretty good. And
One
speaks
person
volumes.
losing their job because they're,
Boss doesn't
Principal.
like them is too many.
Well,
That's not
that's
fair.
that person's opinion, because when we call the principal, he can validate,
Yes.
and we've given you that information where we say they've met with them, here's this problem, we've met with them, there was this problem, they met with them, there was this problem.
And yet, we know there are teachers that are brand new and that they get non-reappointed, and as you say, they get picked up again, and they become rock stars with the
Yes.
support. So what happened at that school with the principal that non-reappointed them is the question we're
Sometimes it's
asking.
their team they're on, sometimes it's the team. Sometimes they don't get along with their team and they're non-reappointed, that's a fact. You know, and it's the team members.
Well, we would
We've
hope the
actually had
administrator
team
would
members that
see
have
a
called,
problem.
yes, and they work with them, and the administrator comes and says, hey, you know, it's like a cancerous person on a team, and it spreads the negativity. It's not always the administrator.
The administrator's the one who non-reappoints.
Yes,
it's not only,
but again, 1% is very high, but we cannot also, because of statute, to tie hands, and especially not with an effective evaluation that can go all the way down to a 60.
It's not only, it's 1%, right? Another issue that you have to understand is there's not many jobs out there that you work for a year, and at the end of that year, you can be let go, right? There's a stress to that, and people worry to that. Let's say they have.
Most jobs in the real world, you can be let go at any point of the
Not, it
ticket.
doesn't come around every single,
No, because you can be let go, you can walk in today and they can say, sorry,
And all the charters are at-will employees, you can be let go anytime, it doesn't matter if you're in your 10th year.
So the reality is I've asked
The
this
reality is
before.
a year guaranteed is a lot better than most get at most companies.
no,
That's the reality.
So if you are not going to look at the turnover rate at some of your schools, which I have asked the
We do.
superintendent,
and the
I
anxiety
have
that
asked
they
you,
have throughout the year that they're
if
not
there are
going to be
certain
reappointed.
administrators that the turnover rate is, we could just publish the turnover rates, I guess, and let new employees know, don't work at this school, but we don't want to do that. We want to work with you to make sure that administrators who have a problem with turnover rate are being coached and addressed in an appropriate way. We've been asking for that for years, and it's not happening. So
it is happening.
then why are the turnover rates still high?
A lot, some schools, one of our high schools with the most popular principal had a lot of people resign this week.
I'm not talking resign.
And you know what, they're moving out of state, they're going to different places, and every single one of them said, I hate to leave. I hate to leave, I love it here. So it's not always the administrator, like I said, provide us, we're willing to work with you, some language we added, and that was us that brought that, the 2 deficiency conferences.
No, that was us.
No, we brought the 2 deficiency conferences, because I said that was fair. So, we'll be happy to work with you, but to say people are automatically reappointed based on an evaluation, because an evaluation is not the only component for a reappointment.
When we've talked reappointment and non-reappointment before, we have proposed many things over the years, including some sort of a checklist where administrators have to do X, Y, Z, and the reason why is because we have these, not everybody, I'm saying, there are a few administrators, the district does not deal with them, it continues to be a
That's not
problem.
accurate. We do deal with any administrator who has a
Nothing
problem.
has changed, then I'll say that, nothing has changed, they're still continuing to have these huge turnovers, and there doesn't seem to be any kind of change to this is what is expected of you in coaching up. You can say things all day, but if there's not a list, you need to do this and this and this and this before you non-reappoint this teacher that you decided you don't like. Your job as administrator is to be the educational leader, and you have to bring up the next generation of teachers. And yes, we are never going to say, everyone, we've sat in meetings before with you and said, this person needs to resign, right? We get that. But we don't think it's fair or productive for Clay County to be jettisoning teachers based on administrators that basically want a clean slate the next year. And some of them just clean house, and it's crazy. It's like they can't even keep staff. And we don't understand the reluctance to deal with that. We don't understand the reluctance.
I'm sorry, but I just disagree. There's not a reluctance
And we don't
to
see
deal with
non-recs
it.
that are cleaning house. You make it sound like there's schools that have 20 non-recs and others don't have any. And most, at any single school last year was 4.
How many resigned from that same school and left? How many transferred?
And I've run rates before, and proportionally, some of the bigger schools, there's not been standouts. I know there's certain principals that you've claimed year after year. I know who some of them are. But I've not run, and I have looked at numbers with Mr. Brodsky.
That's one of the things that Mr. Bronski asks for every year, is who's transferred from what schools. So he does watch that, and he does look at it, and he does deal with it, if it's an abundance. Now, last year there were higher transfers, but a lot of that was because you had people that were part of the RIF that got put in schools that was not their choice, but they needed a job. And so when jobs came open that were closer to their home or back in their home school, they transferred back. So we had a much higher transfer rate last year because of that, because we had such a high RIF. And we had the RIF summer this year, and it's not, I don't think it's fair to count those people who are transferring back to a school of their choice when they were placed at something that they didn't want.
A teacher reached out to me recently and asked about the evaluation that survey that the district invests in ever since I think Mr. Davis was here, the climate survey for schools, and said nothing ever happened with that. There was no information given, and all the teachers at my school want to know what the scores are. Was it given to administrators but not shared with employees? Because all the employees here know that we were very candid to our own peril on that, because you know we get those calls all the time, like, are they tracking me if I respond to this survey? And we would tell them, as Jenny Shepherd said, you know, we don't have time for that, we don't worry about that. They did not get that information back, and they wanted to make sure that the district was looking at that information, because when they do give candid responses, they feel like it falls on deaf ears about the
I
climate
thought
at
the
their school.
climate surveys were made public. So I will check on that, but I do know that they look at it, because Mr. Brodsky, and I know that Dr. Tito goes over the climate surveys with all of her principals, and Ms. Pickett went over the climate surveys with all her principals. But I thought that, I don't know, because I'm not in a school, so I don't get to do one anymore.
They may
Yeah,
be,
I mean, I can attest that we had to review it.
Yeah.
you had to review it with your staff, you were told to?
I had to review it with my supervisor, Misty.
Were you told to review it with your staff?
I don't recall.
Yeah, so, again,
I might have been.
communication with
I didn't
employees
recollect.
is always, I think,
Yeah, I get that, but
something
I
that we can
thought
do
they
better
were able,
on.
y'all don't get those? Okay.
Oh, we were not, it was not covered with us, we were at.
Those are two teachers at my school.
Okay.
But I had another teacher reach out to me, and that was not from that school.
But I thought you had access to the results.
We do have access to it, yes.
Okay.
But
So
we
you
were
do
not,
have
it was not
access to the
reviewed
results.
with us.
Yeah,
I think in the
provided
past
it
we
to
had.
them.
You had access to an email or what?
I did not even know we had access to it.
I know we don't
I didn't have access, but my principal went over it with us.
In the past,
I
you
think
have,
yeah.
in the past, the principals have gone over it, in the most recent
Not
years
this
they
much.
have.
I don't think there's a consistency to it,
Okay.
which we all know is important.
I will mention that to the instructional department, because I think that's valuable. I mean, like you said, communication is key. So, yeah, I will mention that to,
Mine was essentially all positive, so I was super happy to share.
Oh,
all right.
Do we have, I need to call this? Just 10.
I want to know how we can move on today.
Okay. So then we will see y'all on the 27th.
And you are having, a meeting with,
I have executive session, whatever, next Thursday night is.
Heather. Is that what you said?
Yes, we meet the 27th. We have the 27th and 29th scheduled, and hopefully we'll be able to bring something back, because we gotta wrap up on the 30th to avoid impasse.
Okay.
But yes, I do have executive session after the special board meeting. That means I don't have to go to the special board meeting. Y'all all have a good day. Thank you. You don't need to take anything. Anybody who wants one.
Okay.
Yes, please, don't be shy.
I want one.
Yes.